Hello, everybody. My name is Akimle. The universe is a vast expanse of endless terror and destructive capability. There's plenty of science fiction over the years that has spoken of the different possibilities of the universe. Whether the fleshy horror shows a Dead Space or Strange World that High on Life introduces, space is one of, if not the most interesting thing to humanity when it comes to video games and pretty much all media. If not for humanity's curiosity, we wouldn't be where we are, but also we are able to lead to our own destruction. So that begs the question, what will happen when we make the sky our domain? Or is it truly no man's sky? Today we're going to fight an army of killer robots, farm nanites to buy that cool building we want, and enslave entire colonies. Today, we're talking about No Man's Sky.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
When I first heard about No Man's Sky, I had a lot of expectations. A whole universe to do whatever I wanted. A sandbox of free choice. I watched people play No Man's Sky on YouTube, and I was hooked. When I got into the game for the first time, I was heartbroken. The game was not what I expected at all. It did not even have a lot of the content I was expecting, but it did have some of it, at the least. It felt like a broken promise, even though it technically was not. No Man's Sky released in August 2016. Even though now I only hear negative things, I remember that back then, the people who played it were very divided, and by I only hear negative things now, I mean I usually only heard negative things back then. As in, when people talk about back then, they only speak negatively. There was two types of people who thought, yeah, they did underdeliver, but I see the start of a good game if they continue to update this. And then there was they promised all this stuff and now it's not here. How can we trust the developers will actually do anything to make this game better? I personally was the latter when I was playing the game for the first time. The endless menus and lack of purpose. There was technically that universe that I wanted to explore, but it felt dead. I realized that this world I was playing was nothing like what the developers had shown me. Alien animals interacting with their surroundings in a seamless way, and also an emphasis on exploration. There was no player interaction and no real multiplayer. Planets felt the same, and the game felt lonely. I felt the same way when I went on Garry's Mod maps and felt alone in those liminal spaces, except this time it was different. This game made me feel alone because there was nothing there. The husk of a game. I understood that public hype for the game was something that the game could never live up to, but I still expected a lot more than I got. So, when I saw what the game actually was, I put the game away for what I thought would be forever. Disappointed. Now, sure, gamers are used to not trusting game developers, but maybe the reason I fell for the trailers originally was because of what I was saying at the start. Space is one of the things that interests humanity the most. Even though I did not like the game at the start, we'll talk about how it recovered after I explain the story of No Man's Sky, and we'll be able to figure out how it really did live up to that hype. Disclaimer. Before I start talking about the history, I will say it is hard to understand and not entirely relevant to my topic, so if you wish to skip the history of No Man's Sky, skip to this timestamp. Anyways, the universe has been in existence long before the player characters are introduced. There are three main races inside of the No Man's Sky universe. The Korvax, a robotic race of people that want to understand how the universe works and also figure out how they exist. The Gek, a group of traitors and usually friendly, but willing to scam you. However, their past does not represent their present, because sometimes greed overcomes all else. And lastly, the Vy'keen, which are a strong, brutish race that seem aggressive to most other species. However, they have a code of honor that binds them. They're basically just discount Klingons. To understand the history, you need to understand who the people in the universe are and what their goals are. The Atlas Foundation is one of the more important companies in the universe that has a focus on questions of existence, research of artificial intelligence, and reality simulation, and other similar theories that are pretty usual themes inside of the No Man's Sky universe. Some things we can figure out that are not explicitly stated is that the Atlas was created by the Atlas Foundation to simulate universes and find the reasons of existence. The No Man's Sky universe does actually take place in our universe millennia after our era, and humans have long since left Earth to go onwards to the stars. The creators of the Atlas were human, which means that the anomaly race the players can choose to play as, and play as by default, are based off humans, and under the helmet, they most likely look like humans under the helmets. Because the Atlas creates clones of the original creator, that means that all the player characters in other anomalies are clones of humans. However, the Atlas was corrupted, so the alien anomalies are actually clones of the creator that were corrupted, which explains their appearance. In game, we do always have a companion. You may not know its name for most of the game, but the AI inside of your suit was a sub-protocol created to monitor Atlas named Telemon. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I've seen enough Pokemon, so I'm hoping that I'm getting that correct. The universe that is explored is pretty much infinite. There is multiple universes inside of the multiverse of No Man's Sky called iterations. These iterations are the product of the Atlas, making an endless amount of universes. Now, going back to the three main races of the No Man's Sky universe, we can understand the history in full. A group of Gek known as the Gek First Spawns were an impulsive and aggressive group that were known for being bloodthirsty and willing to kill their own if they were deemed too weak. This aggressive behavior would lead to one of the most horrific events in No Man's Sky history. You see, the Korvax were robots who bleed nanites, which are currency and also useful for buying technology. There was a war between the Vy'keen and the Sentinels, a group of drones with unclear motives that tend to police planets. And the Gek Firstborn were waiting for the war to end so they can invade the battered survivor. The invasion of the Vy'keen also led to the invasion of the homeworld of Korvax Prime, and led to the destruction of the Korvax homeworld, as well as killing an unknown but likely massive amount of Korvax. Not only did this hurt the Korvax, it also led to the Great Disconnection, which made it so they could not connect to their ancestors. Almost the entirety of the Korvax people were enslaved. The only part of Korvax Prime that still exists is in the massive structure known as the Space Anomaly, which is a refuge for travelers all across the universe. Now, after the Korvax have been freed and no real wars are raging, the Sentinels are a massive force that works in its own mysterious motives, and the player can explore the universe of No Man's Sky and do whatever they desire.
Wow!
The game we see today is a lot better than the game we had a couple years ago, and it definitely is a lot closer to that dream of a game that has endless possibilities and content. Now we actually have working multiplayer, which I feel was one thing that people really expected, and when it was not really part of the original release, people felt betrayed by that. Nowadays, players can join a party and play with 4 other players, and also meet other players inside of the Space Anomaly to do missions with people. VR support was also a really cool addition, that is still being worked on, but all things considered, for a flat screen game that is made to work in VR, it usually works really well. Being in VR in No Man's Sky adds a next level of immersion that is hard to get in anything else. Being in a dogfight in VR or looking at the beautiful visuals is amazing. With a lot of the updates that added new content to the base game, more quests and side missions were added to the game. Originally, getting to the center of the universe was one of, if not the only real objective, but now you can have a lot of different objectives. Additional storylines and quests can range from something having to do with derelict freighters in space to becoming a pirate and blasting some freighters into space. Now, one thing that I could not live without was base building. The main reason that I wanted to play No Man's Sky was because it reminded me of Subnautica. Whether because of the graphics or something else, that was the only reason I was so attracted to it, and my favorite thing to do in Subnautica was to build massive bases and make outposts for different biomes in the Subnautica world. When I realized that I couldn't build at all, I was very disheartened in No Man's Sky. I'm glad to say that the base building inside of No Man's Sky surpasses Subnautica in every way now, in my opinion. And I am really happy it does. And later, with the ability of third-person view and also multiplayer customization was required. This allowed a lot of custom appearances for the player character that could be unlocked by doing different tasks, along with some of the things I mentioned before. Enhancing crafting was something that had been worked on extensively, whether for your spaceship or something in your suit. Along with these updates, there's no ships and classes of starships that could be added to what you buy. Usually, these ships come with their own unique features that add to the ship's already cool appearance. Freighters and their fleets feel like something that should have always been in No Man's Sky, yet it was not. Being able to first see a battle between these freighters and pirates, or fight the new Sentinel freighter in the most recent update, and even own your own fleet. Like, how sick is that? Is hands down my favorite part of the game. Like, who doesn't want to be the admiral of a fleet? These additions to the game make the game a lot better overall. Nowadays, the player count of players has gone only up as more updates released. I'd say that it's probably bigger than ever. Like, the amount of players nowadays is a lot bigger than it's ever been. Developers never quit on this game, which props to them. Regardless of the backlash and the original state of the game, they just keep pushing on to make it a dream, like, to make it the dream it is today. Like, it's already a dream, but they're just keeping going. They're keep making it better. Like, with all these updates recently, I haven't seen a single bad update so far. Don't quote me on that. And yeah, it's amazing. Well, now that I've talked about how the game has gotten better, it's time for final thoughts.
What? No, alright. I know that sounds bad.
I think that No Man's Sky had a rocky start, but overall it succeeded at its mission of making a really cool space exploration game. I'm pretty sure the main developer's goal was really to just take his idea of being a kid and enjoying and loving space and making it into a video game of all that wonder and excitement. There are plenty of other games that are similar and even better in some ways, like Star Citizen, Elite Dangerous, but at the end of the day, this is my favorite of the bunch. I will say, even with all the content in the game, I do get bored every once in a while, and there is definitely stuff I would love to see in the game, but I won't comment on that at the moment because I don't even know what the final build of this game will look like, because it still has a lot of updates ahead of it, I imagine. The developers don't look like they're finished with this in the slightest. Overall, I recommend this game even if it costs a pretty penny. The developers are still working on this game. It has so much content. This game was able to hold my attention for quite some time, and that's a feat a lot of games can't do, because my brain can't focus on one game for months on end. So yeah, I recommend this game because it has rich lore and great gameplay that could keep you entertained for long periods of time. But yeah, that's going to be it for me. I'll catch you guys later.